Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and happy Shochu'sday number 85. Coming to you live from Tokyo, Japan. Christopher Pellegrini here, and with me as always in Fukuoka, Japan is Stephen Lyman. And kanpai to everybody.
Good morning.
What's in?
Kampai.
Good morning. What's in the mug? Coffee.
Coffee. Yes, coffee. Need my
Got it.
coffee.
How was your New Year? Yeah, Happy New Year. I mean, this is the
Happy
first
New Year.
one of 2022. How's everything
Yes.
going?
Good, good. Had a really relaxing time off between Christmas and uh, yesterday was my first day back to work. So um, Tuesday here in Japan was my first day back, and uh, started out the year right. I've got a fun resolution. Well,
Oh,
fun.
you
I don't
do
know. Fun,
resolutions?
fun is
Okay.
relative. I kind of do, and I tend to stick with them. Like a few years ago, I decided to go paperless, and that was 5 or 6 years ago. I'm paperless,
All
essentially,
right.
other than people who insist on sending me paper things. But I don't actually print things or keep things on paper. I keep them digitally. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something I was able to successfully accomplish. Yeah, I make incremental lifestyle changes usually to try to stay healthier and fitter and that sort of thing. And so um, I don't know you remember the Shochu diet, which I did years ago, where I
Of
lost
course.
I think about 15 pounds or so,
Crazy.
simply switching out other alcohols for Shochu, basically getting rid of high calorie drinks,
Mm-hmm.
replaced with a pretty low calorie spirit without any sugar added, and and then after I moved to Japan, I lost quite a bit of weight. I don't remember the exact numbers in pounds, but I went from 84 kilograms to 75 kilograms. So 9 kilograms is a fair amount of weight. I think that's about 20 pounds. Um, and I've mostly been able to keep that off, but I gave a couple kilos back toward the end of last year. Um, Between the trip to the States where I wasn't able to exercise and then the holidays, it sort of crept back up a little bit. So
Right.
um, I set a new weight goal, which is not really a New Year's resolution, but I've decided one way I'm going to help accomplish that is I can only drink a beer after I've run 5 kilometers. So
Oh, wow.
once
Okay.
once I did a because I do like beer. I have a weakness for beer, despite this being the Japan Distilled podcast. And so one month when I decided to just crush it and get down to that target weight of 75 kilos, I uh, I made myself run 5 kilometers for every time I broke my no carbs. It wasn't really no carbs, but it was no bread and no beer. And anytime I ate some bread or drank some beer, I would then go for a run,
It
like
was a
within 24
punishment.
hours. It was a punishment. Now it's an incentive. I've turned the stick into a carrot. So
Gotcha.
now if I run 5 kilometers, I can then have a beer. And that's one beer. Now format size notwithstanding, I can drink a large format beer after that 5K if I choose to. Um, but that's my new rule for this year. And so I've actually run 22 kilometers in the first 4 days of the year. So I can have 4 beers, but I've only had two. I'm going to keep those others socked away for when I need a beer.
I
Um,
gotcha. Got him in your back pocket.
that's right. And so but what's interesting for me about that is that I ran 430 kilometers last year. So basically, I've in the first 4 days of the year, I've run 5% of last year's max total. So I feel like I'm on a pretty good pace, unless
You're on a
my
tear.
knees or back break down. Yeah. Well, yeah, I've got beer to look forward to at the end of
Right.
each
That's
each
all it
run.
is.
So
It's a pretty good carrot. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. We'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, I sort of set the goal of my longest run last year was 17 kilometers, which was much longer than I expected to run
Mm-hmm.
that day. That was actually a midnight run. I just had some stress built up, and I was like, I'm going to go for a run. And I just kept running and running and running, a little bit like Forrest Gump.
Yep.
And
I was gonna say
seven,
you beat
17
me to
kilometers
it.
later, I was like, yeah, I'm tired. I'm going home. But that's
But now I'm in Chiba, so
yeah. But that's only 5 kilometers short of a half marathon
yeah, that's
that I
fair.
just went out and
Very
did. So I
true.
was like, maybe. So my goal this year is to actually enter and run a half marathon.
This is a multifaceted resolution, is it not?
Yeah, that's not really a resolution. That's just sort of a
That's
life
a
goal, I
goal.
think. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The
Wow.
resolution is I'm actually trying to kick beer for the most part. Just so many calories, but if I at least have some way of incentivizing the beer and not just the incentive is if you open the fridge, there's one waiting for you, right? That's a little bit too easy access. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
I know people who keep their snacks, their potato chips and things like that in the garage, like so they have to leave the kitchen. They don't just walk to the cupboard and open up and grab a bag of chips and go back to the TV. This is, I guess, a more extreme version of that.
No shit. That's funny. Oh man.
Anyway, how was your
Super
years?
quiet. Very, very nothing to report. Some reading, some walking, some more reading. Didn't turn on the TV, so don't know what was going on there so much. I do know what was happening on the internet, unfortunately, as always happens. But yeah, it was good. Welcome to 2022. Resolutions, you know, I'm a firm believer in the tenet that you can't break a resolution that you didn't make. So I'm gonna stick with that, I think, for now, because it's served me well over the years. And yeah, anyways, welcome to 2022, everyone. I hope everyone's happy and healthy and smiling as always. And we've got some good news. The good news, and this is, I'm gonna change the banner for this. This is definitely booze news. Is that
big news?
Shochu and Awamori are getting some press these days, and long overdue. If you ask us, they are popping up in all sorts of places. People are curious about these spirits. It's great. It's very exciting for us to see, and perhaps I don't think there's any way to call it anything other than the Exhibit A, the pièce de résistance, whatever other way you want to refer to it. It showed up big before the ball drop in New York City this year. And I don't know if you were watching CNN or what you were doing. A lot of people do watch the countdown festivities, I think for several years in a row, hosted by Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper. And they were drinking a rice shochu. Can you believe that? On national TV. And they actually, I believe Andy Cohen actually pronounced it correctly, which is amazing, which is impressive. And hats off to him, because we know tons of people who are in the drinks business and can't pronounce these things correctly. But yeah, I actually have a clip of it. Just to prelude this, the name of the brand is Mujen, Mujen, and it's a new brand. It's a rice shochu. It's a trio of rice shochu, and they sip one on camera. So let me just run a quick clip here, and let's see. Video file. Is it a video file? No, it's not. It's gonna be. This is more difficult than Zoom, because there's so many options. Oh, there we go. I found it. Okay. So now I want to go. I guess
we really need a studio engineer, don't we?
We do. Here we go. I think I got it though. I do have it. I got it. Okay, so here we go. Boom.
We are back in New York City. Anderson, I'm gonna pour you a Mujen here.
The danger on this Mujen stuff, which I never heard of until this year, and Andy's friend Bruce Bozzi.
Yes, you're enjoying it. I know it creeps up on you.
So that was just a very brief cameo for Mujen, but it's huge. They went on and talked about it a little bit. They were very effusive of the smooth flavor, and it's a rice shochu made by a very well respected kumajochu maker in Hitoyoshi City in Kumamoto Prefecture. It's good stuff. And they were drinking it on national TV live. And that was eye-popping for many of us. Those of us who were waiting for Shochu's moment, or to have a moment, did not imagine that was going to be the moment.
Yeah, that's right. No, not at all. I was shocked to wake up. I wasn't watching it. But very quickly people started popping up in my news feeds saying, "Oh, wow, Shochu just got a shout out on by Anderson Cooper for the ball drop." And the question came through: was that sponsored? No, it wasn't actually. If you listen to the clip, he was saying what is his name? Andy Cohen. That's somebody I'd never
Yes.
heard of before New Year's. His good friend Bruce Bozzi, and Bruce Bozzi is actually involved with that brand, and so it's basically a sound like genuinely wanting to help out his friend, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Bruce Bozzi and Sandra Baker, the two principals behind Mugen Spirits, are absolutely phenomenal humans. Just a ton of fun. Hearts of gold, hearts of platinum. I don't know what's better than platinum. And they're doing amazing things with that brand, and we're very excited to see where they take it. And they do have some friends whose names you are probably aware of. One of them being Andy Cohen, and Anderson Cooper is also, I believe, a close friend. And it's really exciting. I can't even begin to express how cool this is to see a brand and a good brand of shochu getting a little bit of sunlight out there amongst all the other drinks that they're competing against. It's just fantastic. And there's more, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's it's been such an amazing sort of first start to the year as far as shochu getting some press, and obviously nothing from a consumer perspective is having it show up on primetime television for the ball drop, which is just amazing. But what I woke up to, actually what I found out about before I found out about the ball drop news was, let me share my screen now. This article that came out, which I'm so glad somebody went and actually did this research. Let's see. Don't show these tips again.
See, it is pretty involved, isn't it?
It is.
It's a lot.
So this is, let's see.
Chrome tab or something.
Is that showing up? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
so this is from USA Spirits ratings. Now, this is only a blog post, but they go into all of the detail about how much shochu has grown over the last. Is this the article? Did I find the right one?
I think it is.
Is it? Yeah. So it says shochu is going to be the next big drink. They describe it in some detail. And then, no, this isn't the one. I'm sorry.
It's not?
Because they had because didn't they have the percent that it increased over the last few years and that sort of thing? It has some really cool data in it. Why is that not? I wonder if they edited the article. Anyway, we'll drop this link into the chat anyway. It's not quite as exciting. But they had actually, the article that I had found or had been shared with me actually included how many new accounts had been open in the US over the last few years. So how many bars, restaurants, and liquor stores had started carrying it, and broke it out by Japanese versus non-Japanese. And when you go from virtually nothing to something, the percentages are always impressive. But just the fact that there are now, thousands of bars, restaurants, and liquor stores around the country that are selling shochu is pretty cool. Because that's not the way it was just a few years ago.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and if we can,
article.
It's going to be fun to see what else is. I mean, now that Mugen has gotten a little bit of shine, it's very likely that media is going to pick up on that and start asking questions. So, and there's just it's been fun. If you Google the keyword shochu right now, you'll see a ton of press about it recently. I think the rate at which it's being queried on Google has recently grown, and I think good things are in store. I think it could be within the next several years that shochu really is a topic of conversation in many trade and consumer circles, and we are definitely here for that. So we're excited. Very good start to 2022, at least as far as that small sliver of life is concerned. And so I don't know if we have a main event, so to speak, but I mean, other than we do have another Shochu Rakuen bottle to taste through. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to talk about before that. I am hoping, for everybody's sake, to keep this one under 30 minutes today, because I have to Barney. But what do you think?
Yeah. Well, did you have any more news? I thought there was an article out of Hong Kong. You're not going to share
Oh,
it?
there was. Yeah, you're right. There's although I'm
We can
not
talk about
sure
that
how
next week.
quickly I can. Yeah, I'm not sure how quickly I can find that. Actually, that's probably not completely true because I bet I think I shared it to. You know what? I think it's gonna take. Oh, Devinder Segal putting Shochu on show. Actually, I can probably find this pretty easily. There's a well-known bartender in Hong Kong at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, and he was recently interviewed for, I guess it's a variety of things. Oh, this is, unfortunately, you know what? Even though I typed in the name of that article, their website doesn't have the SEO to come up. Okay, that's disappointing.
I've got it here if you want me to share it.
Yeah, go ahead, share it. So Mr. Segal is a very well respected bartender, and he's over the last couple of years been working more than a couple of years. Last few years, he's been working very hard to learn more about shochu and awamori, and he's also experimenting with these spirits as a part of his cocktail program. He runs the show at the Aubrey in the Mandarin Oriental, and there he is right there, and he's doing a great job. So he was the main source for this article about shochu, which is, of course, basically an introduction for most everybody reading it, and it's just, from Steven's perspective and my perspective, it's just really nice to have other people pulling in the same direction and doing it in a way that is, well, correct. I mean, basically getting the facts straight, not calling barley shochu wheat shochu, and those sorts of simple mistakes that a lot of people make, and also being able to take it one step further with the cocktail side of things, talking about how even though it is a mid-proof spirit, often 25-30%, which can basically, it can give pause to a lot of bartenders because they're not exactly sure how to work with it. If it's not a 40% plus spirit, then and he can talk about it in a way that will make a lot of sense to people, both the lay person and the bartender. And so it's just, I'm just very grateful that we have an ally in Mr. Segal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Just, I guess, a programming note for Japan Distilled. When I unplugged between Christmas and New Year's, I completely unplugged. I didn't even do my job on the podcast. So the next episode will be coming out on Monday of next week.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be the first episode of second season. So please be patient with me. I really, really needed a break. It was an exhausting year. I realized that I hadn't taken an actual time off, unplugged my computer, don't look at my email, that sort of thing, in a very, very long time. So it was much needed rest, and I feel refreshed.
Good.
So yeah,
nice.
The cost of that is a week's delay in the podcast release. So
it's all right. Well, everyone will survive. Season 2 coming in hot. All right. Well, how about
there's a good question.
Yeah.
From Chris Caldwell. Do we know if the Muzhen line is atmospherically distilled? Based on how people are describing the tasting notes, it appears to be vacuum distilled. There is a blend. Christopher mentioned that there are 3 different expressions. One is their mainline brand, which is it 30 or 35%, Christopher? Do you remember?
I misplaced that information.
It's higher than 25. And then I believe they have a 20% version, which is the light version. And then they have a barrel-aged version, which is higher proof. That's 40 or 42 or something.
I think you're right. So, yeah.
Yeah. So there's three different expressions. And we don't necessarily know whether it's all the same distillate in, just diluted to different levels, and then one being barrel-aged or not. But I'm sure that information will be available as the brand rolls out. But pretty exciting that there's that. And that you saw the packaging briefly. If you go to their Instagram account, you'll see they're just really beautiful bottles with these gorgeous toppers. They look like little crystal balls. So they're really aiming for that sort of premium end of the the American spirits market, which is cool. We need shochu to play in that world. So
Yeah,
I'm glad
absolutely.
that they've taken that as their goal. And you and I've tried it. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I would say it's predominantly vacuum, if not entirely vacuum.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well.
Yeah, and if you really are thinking about that packaging is clearly not aimed at the shochu geeks, right? That's aimed at the mainstream. That's the people drinking Patron. That's the people drinking Johnny Walker, right? So you're talking about your flavor profile is going to be something that's going to be easy for consumers to embrace. And as much as Christopher and I and many of you love atmospheric distilled rice shochu, that may not be what everybody enjoys. And
it's also not the easiest. Yeah, it's not the easiest to get your hands on either. So
true. And the light fruity styles are very popular here as well. I mean, Hakutake Shiro is the best-selling rice shochu. Ichiko is the best-selling barley shochu.
Yep, absolutely.
Those are both heavily vacuum biased. So give people what they want, even if they don't know what they want. So anyway, cool. Yeah,
good question.
Very good question.
Let's skip over to the newly opened.
Okay.
So we'll skip Shochu Rakuen today just because we only got 7 minutes left. So, have you opened anything recently?
I have. I've opened a number of things recently because I don't know. I sort of realized I spent a lot of last year drinking for evaluation, like tasting things for evaluation, both for competitions and also for some other reasons. So I decided to drink what I like this year, what I want to drink. And so I actually opened up. Some of you have probably seen or had this. Sorry, there's glare on the.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a bottle of that somewhere.
Yeah, what is that? Shirayuki? No, Itsuki. Shiraitsuki, which I believe would mean what, white first moon or something like that. I could be completely wrong on that, but this is a 30-year-old rice shochu. From Sengetsu Distillery I knew we'd be talking about Mugen, so I decided to break out a rice shochu. And this is aged for, I believe, 30 years in ceramic, in clay. And it's 35% alcohol. It is rich and deep and lush. Beautiful, beautiful shochu. I've never seen it for sale anywhere other than at the distillery. I don't know if you've ever seen it on store shelves, Christopher. It's a little bit of a unicorn, but pretty. And I doubt they make much of it, but very, very beautiful packaging. It's a white decanter basically with a Belgian beer topper kind of thing.
I think I've tried that once. Yeah.
And as you're talking about a 30-year-old rice shochu, and you would think that must be so expensive, but it's not. I mean, it's multiples of a standard rice shochu in price, but you're still well under probably $60 or $70 a bottle at the distillery. So it is. It's
a steal.
Yep,
it really is. It's that bias against aged clear spirits. It doesn't. So, but we'll work against that little by little. Good choice. My recently opened is Itton.
Oh wow!
Yeah, look at this big boy. It's a sweet potato shochu made in the southwestern part of Kagoshima Prefecture, and as you can see, it's got a profile. So when people see it on a shelf, they're like, "Ooh, what is that?" And it's really hard to find. It's really, really hard to find. They do not put a lot of it on the market, and it's a very traditional style. It's clay pot fermented, the style that we like. It's got a ton of character, as suggested by the package, and it's good. And when I see it, I tend to pick it up. And when I see it in a bar, I almost invariably will order it just because it's so uncommon to see it. It's not super, super expensive when you run into it. It's not like the M's or anything, but it is certainly up in maybe the middle tier of the hierarchy.
But by that you mean like $8 a glass instead of $6? or something.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, it's not. It's a couple. You are talking a couple of bucks or multiples of that when you buy the whole bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure,
it's
sure.
true.
Yeah, and I just know American bartenders would hate that footprint.
Oh,
It would take up
it
so much
doesn't
back bar
doesn't
space.
play well with others. No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna move a couple of other bottles out of the way. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. That's a 1.8 liter bottle, and it's only about this tall. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a very squat package. So yeah, absolutely. Bartenders and liquor shops would hate that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually when I do see it in liquor shops, it's usually set out on a table somewhere. It's not like on a shelf.
Not
So they don't
sharing
wanna take
space. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Actually have to revisit that. I haven't had that in a while. Maybe
Yeah, the best place it's almost always Kagoshima. You very rarely see it venture outside of the prefecture. I don't
Right,
I don't
right,
know
right.
I don't know who they sell it to. Actually, I don't think, other than maybe a couple of shops in Kagoshima. Probably there's a place in Fukuoka as well. I can't think of a place in Tokyo that carries it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely seen it around here.
Have
I'll,
you?
Yeah, I've got a couple shops I think might carry it. I'll have to go look and see if they've got it. That's a good one. Yeah, and speaking of Kagoshima, see you this weekend.
Yep. See you there.
Cool.
All right. And on that
Finally
note,
get to hang out down there.
yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, let's adjourn, since I do have to run. One of our shortest episodes ever, and I think it would be nice if this could be a resolution to keep our show Tuesdays to closer to 30 minutes rather than 50.
I think we
But
did a 2 or 3 minute episode from when we were both in the States.
that's true. I forgot about that. That's very true. Well, to everybody out there all around the world, thank you once again for joining us. Please check out Mugen, and if you can get your hands on a bottle, we'd love to hear your tasting notes. And we'll be back again next week, episode 86. Same time, same place. From both of us here in Japan to all of you out there all around the world, a very hearty and heartfelt kanpai.
Kanpai.